a lovely day!
When I think about my money and how much I've spent, how quickly I spent it, and where it all went, sometimes I regret it, sometimes I don't care. If my wife knew the value of my collection, I'd need to be in your prayers. Some men like to gamble, some men like to race, some men like to party, to drink and fall on their face. But I've been collecting knives since the time before MySpace. Some are fixed blades and I have many that fold. Some go down in value, but some appreciate like gold. There's a feeling inside, a hole in my soul. If there isn't a new knife on its way to my home, order a full custom, get on a wait list. Could be a year or 3, but it's worth buying to me because of the skill of the artist. There's some factory knives that you didn't know existed, are rare and special, being made so limited. You think that I'm nuts and call me a hoarder or whatever, man. At least I've got something special on pre-order. Spend all your money, keep buying more. Don't think about other things the cash could be used for. Why waste it on vacations, a temporary getaway? What else do you need the money for? Some useless gadgets, not even made by hand. If you run out of money, just start an OnlyFans.
Hey guys, welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to unbox the brand new Winterblade Factor 8, or you can think of it as the Factor XL. Let's get this bad boy out of the box, see what it's all about. Now, if you've already got a Factor B1, 2, or 3, then you already have a good idea of what the 8 is going to be all about. Because as I mentioned, it really is just a Factor XL. It's the same knife, made a little bit larger, with some very, very, very minor changes. One of the biggest changes is going to be on this flip bar. It does not flip outwards anymore, held in by that magnet. It now does not come out at all. It can go this way, but it's held in place with a spring. The lock is essentially the same exact lock, but it's just recessed into the frame a little bit differently. The pivot is a little bit smaller on the outside of the pivot and not quite as fancy schmancy. Now, this thing is substantial. You're going to know that you've got this in your hand. Just like all the other Factors, it is thin and slim, but it's going to be wide in this direction in its height, so it does take up a little bit of room in your pocket. Oh, man, oh, man. Now, the biggest difference on this, you've got a bigger, heavier blade. So the way the magnets were set in the originals wasn't going to cut it. Because remember, the whole idea with the magnets is to be the detent system, right? So bigger, heavier blade means the detent has to be stronger. So it's got a new quad magnet detent system, as Brian calls it. And he says he has upgraded the lock. It is a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly what the differences are because he doesn't really fully explain it. And I'll be honest with you, if he did, I wouldn't understand it anyway. The guy is a wizard. He's living in another realm, a whole other dimension. Realize this is a guy that has invented knives that close and open with magnets. Nobody's ever done this before. It's insanity. So pretty much anything he does goes right over my head anyway. Now, he says that the strength of the detent is going to be user adjustable by changing out the magnets that are in here. And there is going to be, I'm sure, directions on the Winterblade website, so you can check that out. Oh. Now, one of the things I really, really like about this, one of the things I love about the Factor is that backflipping action. Now, while I'll admit that most of the time I end up reverse flicking it with, or middle finger flicking it, whatever you want to call it. But there are times that I absolutely want to use the flipper function, especially when I want to hear that ting. It's easier to access on this new larger knife. Let me give you a side-by-side on these so you have an idea of just how much larger we're talking. We will put these butt to butt, as all things should be. And you see you've got, I mean, that's a good inch, maybe inch and a quarter in overall length difference. Your overall length, I think I should probably go over the specs right now while that's in my head. Your overall length on this is 8.4 inches. He could have called it the 8.4, but that doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? Factor 8.4, no. You've got a blade length of 3.5 inches with a cutting edge of 3 inches because of the oversized finger choil that's there. Handle length of 5 inches. And the thickness is just under a half an inch, 475 thou thick from the clip to the presentation scale face. And your weight is a staggering 5.8 ounces. Now, it's going to be lighter if you get the aluminum version. This is not the aluminum version. This is all titanium. And, yeah, man, it's got some weight to it, especially when you compare it directly to the original Factor. It is a substantial difference. Comparing it to the Mirage, it's an even bigger difference. And to the new Veyron, which is also being released on the exact same day, October 23rd, 2024. Now, that's because my Veyron here is in G10. I think there's a Veyron choice in all titanium. If there is, it's probably going to be pretty close in weight, even though the blades are quite a bit different. I would expect them to be pretty darn close. Now, as I mentioned before, of the 3 knives that are dropping next week, or is that really next week or is it the week after? Whatever, on October 23rd, which are the Factor 8, the Veyron, and the M-Fire, which I just did its dedicated review a few days ago. I have repeatedly said since the unboxing to now that the M-Fire is my favorite of the 3. It kind of goes M-Fire, 8, Veyron in that order. However, I felt drawn to carry this one today. Now, I've obviously carried all 3 of them, but something made me want to carry this today. And I got to tell you, I've been playing with the damn thing all day, and I really, really, really enjoy it. Now, some of the other features that I don't really talk about very much that I probably should is the fact that the clip is reversible. That was the same way on the Factor B3. And there will most likely be aftermarket clips. Let's see, is this the same clip size? Oh, it is. So there's a chance you might be able to buy a Damascus clip from the Factor and throw it on the Factor 8. It looks to be the same length. Looks like about the same distance for the hardware. So yeah, it looks like they might be interchangeable. So what you have here is a fully adjustable, fully customizable knife. You can adjust your tension, or I should say your detent strength, which is going to affect the action. And you can slow roll it, you can thumb flick it, you can reverse flick it, which a lot of people are going to do. And like I said, because of the size of this new knife, it's so much easier to get to that flipper now. With the little guy, sometimes you'd have to kind of move the knife around, move it up in your hand, then move it back in place to start using it. And as you see, it's every bit as smooth and fast as the original. I'm probably driving you nuts by flipping it over and over and over again. This is why Winterblade is as popular as they are. So I'm really glad to see that Brian is continuing to evolve that collection, to take the Factor to new heights, to make the XL size. I've been asking him for 2 years to please make a larger Factor because I love my Factors. I mean, love. But there are definitely times that I wish that the Factor was a little bit bigger. Not always, mind you. And that's why, for me, I'm still going to have my regular Factor even though I have an 8. Because there are going to be times I'm going to want to carry the smaller one or I'm going to want to carry the larger one. And I tell you right now, I love this size. Now, I've got big hands, so I wanted something that would fill my hand a little bit more. And I can get 4 full fingers on there in the proper hold. I can choke up on it and get up in that finger choil. Everything about this is fantastic. Now, Brian had considered for a while maybe making a miniature version of the Factor before going into a larger size. And I think that would be well received also. But I'm really glad he did a 3.5-inch blade version. Look at the backspacer too. This is something that I really fell in love with. Because again, that futuristic sci-fi look of this design, very flat, very angular, everything's angled and beveled and irregular shaped. I love the sophisticated look, or I should say the somehow complex look of the way the backspacer is done, going into that flip bar mechanism and up into the new lock. Now, this new M-Lock Plus seems to operate exactly like the M-Lock, the original M-Lock did, except this one's mirror polished and this one is not. That was the only thing that I could see that was different. And then the way the switch moves. Does it move now when it's... Oh, yeah, it still moves. All right, so your magnets are going to be set for your detent so that you can adjust your strength. But there's also magnets for this switch. Not for the lock itself, but for this switch. Because you could pull back on this lock right now and it doesn't release this or change the tension of the detent. Unlike a crossbar lock where if you pull that back, it has no friction. Because this is all just springs. This is your standard, more or less standard crossbar lock. This is not. It operates in a different way. So you can pull that lock back all you want. That doesn't change any of this. And then the switch will go back on its own under the magnetic attraction. Yeah, and if you're wondering, does the flipper kick out strong? Here it is vertical. Oh, yeah. And the other great thing is you get that truly drop-free action that a lot of people want out of all their knives. You get that automatically here because from here to here, it's frictionless. Well, nearly frictionless. It's just fantastic. Anyway, I'm just going to sit here and ooh and ah and not really provide much useful information beyond that. Let me give you some close-up looks here. You see the really nice milling that's been done for detail work. There's your lock. There is your flip bar. There's the back spacer that I love so much. There's both of your ridiculously strong magnets that are creating the detent and creating the action. And there's that wonderfully unique shaped blade, the sheep's cliff, I guess you could call it. Nice clean stone wash on this option. There are going to be a few different blade options, I'm sure. When this is closed, by the way, detent strength, super strong. That blade is not coming out without some major force being exerted upon it. Let me see what the thickness, oh man. I would have thought that this blade stock was tremendously thicker than this because the blade is so much heavier. And that weight really is in the length of it, not in the thickness. So it's still pretty thin blade stock, and it comes down in a super slicey flat grind, comes down very, very thin at the edge. Now, for those that don't know, this is a live drop. It is not a pre-order. Pre-order is the way you bought every previous knife from Winterblade. This time around, though, on October 23rd, you're going to have 3 live drops. Factor 8, Veyron, and the M-Fire. If you haven't seen my M-Fire video yet, please go watch it. That knife is absolutely amazing. How will you decide between the 3 if you can only afford one? Oh man, more power to you. I don't know how you're going to do it. That is a super, super tough choice. But I think you'll be able to figure it out. And I hope you get the one that you want in the configuration that you want before they sell out. Because I honestly think with as many people that love the Factor, that have been waiting for a larger version to come out, this is going to be a quick sellout. And I guarantee the M-Fire is going to go super fast. Now, I personally love the Veyron, but I don't know how people are going to react to it in comparison to the all-magnetic knives. Because this is the most manual knife that Brian has created so far. So it doesn't have all the same magic as these do. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you on the next video.